Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing digital visa processing systems or digital immigration platforms. And the question sort of arises, do they make anything really that much better or more efficient? Well, let me be clear, I'm not pointing out any one country. Thailand and the US both now are using these sort of digital immigration systems. Most notably, for example, the US at NVC uses CEAC, the Consular Electronic Application, I'm forgetting CEAC, CEAC, but if you just type in CEAC on Google, you'll see what that acronym even stands for. I forget it off the top of my head. And then you've got US travel docs to deal with if you're dealing with an embassy abroad. On top of that, Thailand has recently unveiled an immigration portal associated with processing of visas overseas. And then they also, depending on the country you're talking about, they may use VFS, which is sort of this online go-between dealing with a visa. The point of this video, it's not to complain, but it is to kind of raise, it's to raise issues associated with whether or not when I get into most of the catch-22s that I get into with US or Thai immigration, I get into it online. Anytime I'm in front of somebody, some issue may arise, and there are catch-22s that will pop up in an immigration context. Sometimes it's statutorily, you may end up in one of these sort of cul-de-sacs of statutory law in U.S. immigration that, and I've been staring at consular officers across the window where we both just kind of throw up our hands and say, well, we're stuck in an impasse. Let's, oftentimes we can turn to the Foreign Affairs Manual to find some way through it, or, there's various means and methodologies. But I often find that when I get into the real cul-de-sacs that really become nettlesome and truly bothersome to a client or to an overall processing time, it tends to be online because you're not dealing with a person and trying to rectify, the real world with what a machine wants to see or what a set form requires. Oftentimes it simply can't be rectified. And I bring this up again, it's not a complaint, it's more to provide insight to folks that are dealing with this. First of all, I empathize with you if you're dealing with, for example, US travel docs or the online Thai visa portal. Yeah, it's tough stuff, and sometimes it'll make you want to pull your hair out. The best thing to do, I've found, is to just sort of plow through it. Oftentimes we may have to call somebody or send in an inquiry, and it takes a few days. I've never ultimately had an issue that could not be resolved, but the timing of it can be very frustrating, and how it's resolved, because oftentimes it might be some, sort of seemingly backwards way of dealing with something that in looking at it in foresight, it should have been a rather straightforward issue.